All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week. The first of which is Kioku, Last Summer. Kioku Last Summer invites you to a vibrant island as Asti, a young girl exploring her first summer in a new home. Uncover mysteries, forge friendships, and relive the magic of summer as a child in this charming adventure. Hmm. Specifically, the a child of the 2000s, i.e., about 25 years ago. This is actually important because, well, I'll get into it in a bit. But yeah, so Kyoku is how do I describe this? A third person. Well, it's not an action adventure game because, quite frankly, there's not a lot of action, and the adventures are kid stuff. Like this isn't a exaggerated you know we're going this video game is making the fantastical reality kind of deal. No,
Yeah,
no, you're you're dealing with real world things that kids do
I think the
during the
trailer
summer.
had them like looking at title pools or opening packs of cards or playing what looked to be like marbles.
Yes. Um, Specifically what kids in a rural setting do. I know it's an island, but you could set this in you know, in the country and you wouldn't lose anything,
Hmm.
you know. And that's not exactly a positive thing either, because, much like uh, real life living out in the sticks, yeah, life is slow and boring more than anything else. Like, but more on that in a bit. But yeah, so you play as like I assume her name's Asti. Uh,
Yeah.
like, and this purports to have Japanese and Scandinavian influences. Um, though you might like that's not very apparent from the art style. Like, this is very shockingly universal stuff.
I
Like
mean, they
this,
have kind of anime eyes, but that's about it.
like I'm talking about like the general aesthetic, not you know not not the cartoony exaggeration.
Right.
Like, you look at the school here, like this could be any place, USA or Canada, or insert country here,
Yeah.
and perhaps that is the aim. you know but yeah, so it's the last day of school when you arrive. So you're like technically a transfer student, even though you're not doing a lot of schooling. Um, and presumably you have advanced to the next grade, because this is a game about forging friendships and doing all of the pointless stuff that you did as a kid. And getting back to what I was saying in the intro, um, one of the mini games that you can do, um, they call it Marubi. And yeah, so this is this is the most 2000s thing in this game, because it's their take off of Beyblade, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, that sort of thing. The stuff that got really popular about 25 years ago. Um,
Hmm.
Only their gimmick is marble. And here's the thing: since this is a mini game, there's not much strategic um, planning here,
Hmm.
either in the actual game or the metagame, because like these marbles come with monster cards. Um, not like I'm not sure if they do anything. They probably do, but once again, this plays out much more like how you actually play marbles. So, um, and like attacks seem to be based more off of how hard you use the power meter. Um, and you can earn Marubies from other kids. You can find them in the wilds. Um, you can get them from fishing. Yeah, so fishing's another mini game. Um, on the simpler side of the fishing mini game spectrum, like you just use a few buttons and like there's not even a tension cable. Um, it's more you have to make sure you're hitting the button properly, or else the crab will get free. And yeah, so even though you're like using a fishing pole, your crab fishing isn't done with it was isn't done by pole fishing. That's a net, like or traps, because crabs don't really go for the hook bait, and they're very heavy shelled thing.
Hmm.
You know, and like I said, this game is just packed with a whole bunch of activities that actual kids will do, like another early activity is bicycle riding. You know, like I think I forget it was like day 2 or day 3. Your father gets you a new used bike, like as in it was a used bike, but he fixed it up a bit and presented it to you, and then you go off to have a bike race. Um, and that's when the biggest problem of the game really hit itself, and that is the camera. So yeah, not going to really tap dance around this. The camera here is n- not
That screenshot captures Kioku
awful,
during a
but not all that great either. Like it's shockingly stiff
Mm.
and inflexible. I like cameras are usually a lot more dynamic to move these days, but this one feel very stiff, like and like it was dealing with arthritis. A bit weird. It's nothing too detrimental, but it is noticeable. Like honestly, the big problem with this game is it's just boring. Like okay, 10, plus 10 points for accurately simulating summer vacation in the boonies, minus several million for
Oh,
style.
that's a bug. I think I just
Yeah,
walked through the map. Yep.
yeah, I
Um,
did see some commentary that the initial build of the game or the initial release was filled with bugs. I didn't really encounter anything like that in the full game. So this could just be a fault of the demo.
possibly.
Like
Uh, is
anyway,
I don't like specifically this where they try to be fancy with the menu.
yeah, it is a bit annoying. Like they're trying
Is
to be cute, except it's a bit cluttered.
I guess I should
And
ask,
also,
is this supposed to be a kid's game or a game for an adult to emulate being a kid?
that's another thing. I don't know. Like, I want to say it's aimed at people who are in their 20s, maybe 30s,
Mhm.
because, like I said, in the like Kickstarter marketing blurbs and all that, they specifically said they wanted to simulate what it was like growing up in the 2000s, i.e., you know, 2 decades ago.
Yeah. But do you wanna
So
emulate for someone who lived through it again? Or to show your kids what you kinda did back in the day? Because those are
I'm
2
guessing the
very
answer.
different mindsets, you know?
Yeah, I know. I'm guessing the answer might be both.
Mhm,
It's it is at the very least aiming to try and capture childhood of a very specific time.
mhm,
Um, ironically, that's mostly lost because they set in a very rural, out of the way setting. So it's actually more timeless outside of the very 2000s collectible card game marble mashup.
mhm.
Uh, like if you strip away Marubi, you could say this was set in say the 1980s.
Yeah, because like,
Um,
even the kid apparently has a flip phone, so
yeah, I was about to say the
something.
other giveaway is the flip phone. It's specifically a 2000s flip phone.
Yeah,
Um, because um, cell phones are one of those bits of technology that are very distinct. I guess up until you get into the smartphone era,
yeah.
and even then, like you can designate time periods by the size of smartphone. Like
Size, whether or
smartphones,
not it has a keyboard.
well, I'm talking about like early iPhones
Mhm,
are very small compared to today.
mhm.
Um,
Well, and
that
even
sort of thing.
just non-smartphones, there were some that had the slide out keyboard. There were some that, were a lot smaller for younger people.
Anyway,
Yeah,
the
that.
the point is,
Mhm,
you take away the cell phone, you take away the flip phone, you
mhm,
take away Marubi, and you could say it was set in the 1980s, the 1970s. You
mhm.
know, anytime in like the late 20th century to early 21st century.
Right.
Um, it might be a bit of a stretch, but not too much of a stretch. Say that this took place in say like the 1920s or the 1910s. Like this schoolhouse has a certain antiquated look
Yeah.
to it.
Well, then there's some other like, one of the kids has what looks to be some type of Walkman. One of them's playing with clearly a Game Boy emulation type thing.
Right.
So you could
My point
probably
is
still
there
say
are
this 90s-ish and still get away with it, not just like mid 2000s.
yeah, yeah. My point is like they've actually largely failed at capturing um growing up as a kid in the 2000s by setting it um in a very isolated location
Mhm.
because this once again it's actually true to life. Um because a place that this accessible is going to be like behind the time, but that's an aesthetical splitting of hair.
Mhm.
um because once again they have captured the feel of growing up and trying to make your own fun um when there's just not a lot to do. But I don't know, it's like, how do I put this? Is that really worth making a game out?
I
Like
gue I I
I
guess it
guess
goes back to what I was mentioning earlier about, is this for adults trying to relive their youth, or something to for the youth of today to see how we did things back in the 2000s?
yeah, I guess for the adults,
Yeah,
sure, I guess. You know, like today's kids,
yeah,
I don't think they're gonna have the patience for this.
right. Because like, as
Ironically,
a work of art to kind of capture a space in
yeah,
time, that's fine,
yeah,
but that's about where the usefulness of this ends almost, if that makes sense?
yeah. Like my nephews and niece are not gonna have the patience for something like this.
Mhm,
Like, you know, they live in the world of smartphones and streaming apps and just constant stimuli.
Mm. Now I can't. Does is the game at least voice acted or is it all reading?
It's all reading.
Hmm.
Like um and as far as its actual aesthetics, like how do I like eh, it seems to be going for like kind of a warm pastoral vibe, but I'll be honest, I got less of that and more basic Unity look out of this game. Like, uh, anyway, ultimately, I found this game okay, just not my bag because you know I didn't grow up in the country. I grew up in
Mm.
the suburbs, so I had actual things to do.
Yeah, I
And
had a relatively more rural upbringing than you guys probably did. Well, maybe Gulix and I might be about the same, but
you know, but it's also like it does actually incorporate a bit of the rural experience, like pure rural.
mhm,
Um, because there's a farm there and you have to sneak around and cutting down apples,
mm.
which is absolutely a thing rural kids would do.
Oh yeah,
You know, like I said,
I guess here it was corn because, hi, welcome to
yeah,
Missouri.
yeah. Um, but anyway, my point is, this is fine. I just, it being a airy nostalgia recumbence of 20 years ago, eh, it can't strike a chord with me because I didn't grow up in that time.
Yeah, and this is
You know,
very much an art piece, quote unquote,
yeah,
capturing a time period instead of
yeah,
something like you would want to play a game, if that makes sense.
yeah. It's like, and I really do think you need that nostalgia connection
Yeah.
because otherwise, this game is just dull.
Because like I
Like,
possibly could have got more out of it though. Playing the demo, it is very broken. I literally had to close out of the game because I got stuck at a
right.
dialogue box and I couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, like I know this game has gotten patched, so it should be like I didn't encounter any bugs like you did.
Yeah.
Um,
So the demo must be on an older version. So I guess it's unfortunately it's hard to recommend the demo in this state because I've literally
yeah,
crashed
that it.
out twice in less than 20 minutes.
I mean, we've got the visual evidence here.
Yeah.
Um,
So
anyway,
yeah, go ahead. I was just about to.
yeah. Anyway, so in terms of pricing, this game is clocking in at $15, which I'm going to say it's going to be worth it if you can find a connection to this. If you
Yeah.
grew up in a rural setting, if you grew up in the 2000s, or a combination of that,
Mhm.
you might want to look into this. Unfortunately, you might. It's probably best if you buy blind and
Yeah.
maybe play for an hour.
Or I guess
Get
look
in on
up
the Steam.
other footage online
Yeah,
because
because the demo is just too
the demo
broken.
is just broken. Yeah.
Yeah,
And we have
because
no idea if that
otherwise,
demo is going to get fixed. Because some devs do fix the demos, some don't.
yep. Because otherwise, honestly, I would not apply to this. There are other casual games out there that are um, more enlightening or more connective. Like we are living through a cozy game renaissance.
Hmm.
So
There are other games set more in this. time period
Yeah,
that would probably connect with somebody who lived in a more city setting.
yeah. Like I said, this is one of the most it's fine, I guess, games I've played in a good long while.
It's probably one of the first, like, art piece games, we've had this year.
I suppose, but I'll be honest, the other game I reviewed, I liked both more as an art piece and a game,
Mm.
but more on that in a bit. Um, so, with that in mind, I think that'll about do it for Kyoku here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty Fan will be reviewing Dustwind Resistance.